Welcome to the HuntFishTravel podcast, the first and longest running female-hosted hunting podcast. She's fine-tuned her bow and sighted in her rifle. She has deer on the brain and is ready to go. But first, she's helping you navigate your trip of a lifetime. And now, here's your hostess, Carrie Zilka.
Welcome to the HuntFishTravel podcast. I am your hostess, Carrie Zilka. This is a special pre-2016 Wisconsin gun deer episode. Tonight we're talking to Kevin Wallenfang from the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources. He's a big game deer biologist over there, and he's going to answer a whole bunch of questions about the upcoming gun season and how the season is going in general in Wisconsin. This episode is brought to you by Cryptic, Kryptek. I am in love with their new camo. I wore the Highlander bib overalls and coat while I was hunting down in Illinois and up in Wisconsin. And I can't wait to wear it this year in the cold weather because it really kept me super warm, and I love the Highlander pattern. So it's brought to you by Real Avid. Check out Real Avid for all of your gun needs. They have a wonderful shotgun tool as well as lots of AR accessories. So if you're into guns, check out realavid.com. Here with Kevin Wallenfang, who, if I'm correct, you're a deer biologist, correct? Or
that would be a good time of the year to be on your show, wouldn't it?
I know.
You got the deer guy on. Yeah, I coordinate the deer program for the DNR.
Yeah, awesome. Well, welcome, Kevin. Welcome back to the show. You've been on a couple of times, and we're talking about the upcoming gun season, which opens up in 3 days here in Wisconsin. And I'd like to kind of just talk to you a little about what's going on so far this year.
Yeah, good.
So pretty basic stuff. I have a couple of questions here. Like, I guess the biggest one that I know I had, and I didn't see too many big changes. Well, I shouldn't say that, two big ones, but what are the biggest regulation changes for 2016, and how have people been receiving them?
Well, probably the biggest one, the deer carcass tags themselves are now just a paper tag. So, the old nice green, heavy, fairly durable material that you used to put on your deer as a carcass tag, we don't have that anymore. And, there's a lot of reasons for that. But cutting through all that stuff, you now have paper carcass tags. And because of that, clearly those carcass tags are probably going to be not as durable as the old plastic, and so woods, a lot of those tags are going to get torn off very, very quickly. So there's a new rule out there that, when you shoot your deer, you still need to validate your tag, and you'll do that by writing on it now, not slicing it, because that slice would just, beg for more tearing. But you validate your tag right away, and then you can put it back in your pocket and wait until you get out of the woods. As long as you're with the deer, you don't have to tag it. So we've kind of got a little slogan to go along with it. If you leave it, tag it. If you, for example, if you shoot it and you have to walk out of the woods to go and get your vehicle or the ATV or whatever to recover the animal, you've left the animal. So you need to put your tag on it. If you go into the grocery store and the deer is in the back of the pickup truck, you need to have your tag on it. If you hang it at the cabin and decide to go into town to a restaurant and have dinner, it needs to have your tag on it. So, like I said, if you leave it, tag it. Pretty simple thing. And if you're not sure, just go ahead and tag the thing. You can tag it, just like you always have as soon as you have the animal down. And anytime you do tag it, you need to keep that tag clean in case a conservation warden sees you, wants to check your license, or if you take it to a meat processor, he's going to be able to need to read that tag. So what we recommend is that you just take the tag, take a couple of Ziploc bags with you when you go deer hunting, slide it into that Ziploc bag, and then go ahead and Ziploc it or zip tie it to the antler or to the ear or whatever the situation might be. So we want you to, keep that tag so it's legible, but, the rules have changed as to when you have to do it.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's not going to be really that big of a deal. I mean, we didn't invent this system. We're actually copying a couple of other states that have gone to the same system, and they, over time, everybody hates change. I hate change as much as the next guy. So the idea of doing this is a little bit, you're like, oh, come on, now what? But, we've changed the rules to make it so you won't lose that tag. If you just, take a little bit of time, think your way through it, you're going to be perfectly fine. So I'm guessing that, we're getting a little bit of complaining about it this year, but by next year, it's going to be old hat and not that big a deal to most people. So we're not all that concerned about it.
I'm of two minds of it. On one hand, I kind of wish I did have the green tag just because they are more durable and you could just put it on. However, I am notorious for paying lots of dollars for having them reprinted because I lose them all the time.
Now you can just print them at home.
All of the time.
If you lose one, you can print them at home. If you haven't used that tag, you can go ahead and print it. As a matter of fact, you can print more than one right now. And then if you happen to lose one, you've already got another one. So now the next thing that a lot of folks are going to say is, well, okay, so what's going to prevent Carrie from using all of those same tags and tagging more deer than she actually bought permits for? Well, we have checks and balances. We have ways of seeing that when you register the deer. You're going to put the tag number in now, and that tag number can only be traced back to you. So, if somebody tries to register that deer more than once, that's going to show up in the system, and then they're going to have some problems. So we do have ways of checking that.
And that's a great segue into the whole phone or online checking system. Now, last year, was it last year you guys were doing beta testing on that, and this is a full year for doing away with the check stations?
Actually, 2014, we put it out there as a pilot, and then last year everybody did it.
Okay. I couldn't remember if it was last year or the year before that was a beta testing. How did you... So, and I'm going to be honest, I freaking hate it that we are... I hate it. I'm afraid, I feel like people aren't being honest. So people can say, well, what's preventing Carrie from using that tag on multiple deer? Well, yeah, for real. What is, because if a warden stops me and I say, here, I have a valid tag. Well, the first one, maybe I just didn't call it in. Maybe I forgot. Maybe I just didn't feel like it.
So, Carrie, how many times have you broken the law intentionally in your life?
I know, never. But there are bad people out there.
Most people are honest, and that may seem a little bit naive to just trust people. But the fact of the matter is that most people are honest. And when you're gonna, you've registered every deer that you've ever shot, and you're going to likely continue to do that because that's the person that you are. So most people are like that. Now, we tested electronic registration last year because we wanted to see if people were complying with the law. So we used a variety of different tests. We used warden checks in the field. We actually used some survey techniques that are used to determine if people are using drugs illegally. Okay, so you can answer questions on a survey, and you can tell us that you're actually doing something illegal without us knowing who actually told us that. We're not going to follow up. We're not going to chase you down and give you a ticket for it. So we used some of these very interesting techniques last year, and regardless of the technique that we used to test compliance, we found that between 90 and 93% of people were registering their deer perfectly legally like they always have. That's probably as good, if not better, than the old walk-in registration stations were. So we're quite happy with it. If there was going to be a drastic change, everybody just decided they weren't going to do it last year, we would have expected that our total registration numbers would have gone down drastically, and yet they went up last year. So, we have the ability to look at patterns of who registers deer on an annual basis, and, the patterns in that kind of thing to see if there's any kind of a change in it. We did that. We didn't see any kind of changes in it. You're in the system. So our conservation wardens, if they really wanted to, and we didn't do this, it's first year of a new regulation. Our wardens aren't out there trying to harass people, and we use it as an educational opportunity. It's a new rule. We use it as an educational opportunity to make sure people are following the rules. If they're not, we coach them through the situation. But you're in the system, and if you registered a deer, there's also the capability of someone comes knocking on the door and says, let's see what you got in the freezer. So there are checks and balances, like I said, and we're very happy with it. Wisconsin deer hunters are great people. The vast majority of them follow the rules. And you know what? If somebody didn't follow the rules under the old registration system, they're probably not following it now either. So we're not really losing anything.
Fair enough. Yeah.
If you're a bad guy, you're a bad guy. And if you're a good person, you're a good person.
They could have used the excuse, well, it's too much effort to go take them in. So, yeah, I get it.
Well, you know what other states have found, and we haven't really looked at this yet, they actually found that their registration information got more accurate because, for example, if somebody in the past shot a fawn and they were embarrassed that they shot a fawn, they might not take it into the registration station because they're afraid that somebody's going to stand there and ridicule them for shooting a fawn. And what they found under electronic registration is that the guy, he doesn't have to put up with that kind of stuff anymore. He can just call it in. He can honestly say, I shot a fawn. He can be perfectly happy and fine with that. He's got the best eating venison in the world, so there's nothing to be ashamed of.
That's a good point. That's a very good point, actually. Have you gotten a lot of push? So you can log it online through the Go Wild. Oh, wait, you guys just launched that this spring.
Well, Go Wild, but the registration system that we're using this year is now connected to Go Wild as well.
It is, okay.
Yeah.
Because that's wonderful.
Well,
Go Wild,
and that's another thing that, a few people are uptight about. They don't necessarily like the new licensing system, but like I said, there's always going to be, folks out there that hate change, and when they get used to it, I would expect that by next year, we're not going to hear anything about electronic registration. It's just going to become old hat, and, I hope that's the case because, it's easy, it's fast. There's still that opportunity for those folks that like to go to the registration station and look at what other people are bringing in. There's still plenty of people that are going to the taverns. They're entering the big buck contests. They're going to the archery shop and that kind of thing. So, if you look for it, the opportunity to go and see the big bucks that other people are getting are still there.
I didn't realize that you could still go to physical check-in stations. Yeah,
there's a handful of them. We've got about 200 compared to there used to be about 600. And you're still going to do it electronically. So, if you don't have a cell phone, you don't have a computer, whatever the situation might be. Lots of Amish hunters in the state. We've got a lot of Amish that hunt.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to the registration stations to check in their deer because they don't have a whole lot of other options. They don't want to use a telephone and they don't own a computer. So we are taking those options,
That's cool. I honest to goodness, I have to tell you, though, the Go Wild web application is phenomenal. And I've got a bunch of, I have 3 different out-of-state folks coming up for sturgeon spearing, and they had to put in their application by October 31st, and all 3 of them said that it was really easy to do, and they couldn't believe how fast and easy it was. And I do a lot of out-of-state hunting, and everybody else sucks.
Well, seriously. Come on now. I do a lot of out-of-state hunting, too, and they aren't all that bad. But, yes, I mean, it is really a nice thing. I talked to somebody just yesterday that had a couple of buddies from out of state coming in, and they were worried about getting their license. I said, do it right now. And while I was talking to the guy on the telephone, the guy jumped on the website, and, he looked at it all. He's like, there's nothing to this. Yeah, nothing to it. So it's all about convenience. There's always going to be a little give and take. We're trying to provide convenience. We're trying to save hunter dollars. Instead of spending money on paper and things like that, we'd rather spend that money on wildlife habitat projects and putting more game out there on the ground and non-game species and whatnot. So trying to be better, more efficient as to how that money gets spent on the things that people really want it spent on. It's a lot of this is about convenience too. So like you said, it is easy if you give it a little bit of time. I'll be honest with you, the first time I fumbled through it, I'm like, oh my God, people are going to hate this, but it really doesn't take much, a little bit of practice with it, and it's not that big a deal.
No, I really was pretty impressed, other than the fact that it got stuck during the over-the-counter turkey. But that was just working out the bugs that week. Other than that, but actually doing the application process, it was really, really easy. So from a DNR standpoint, how is the 2016 season going? What is the feedback you've been hearing?
Well, we have had the disabled hunt, and we have had the youth hunt. And the youth hunt was really good. The kids out there did very, very well. Their harvest was up compared to last year. When you look at early archery, early crossbow, and the youth hunt, to this point, we are pretty significantly above last year. I want to say we're something like 10 to 12,000 deer ahead of 2015. Wow. So that's a good indication that the numbers are up. We are hearing from folks all over the state that they're seeing good numbers of deer. I've even talked to quite a few people in the far northern part of the state where we really got hit by tough winters a couple of years ago, 2 in a row, as a matter of fact. And, we lost deer. We had low production for a couple of years. But they're starting to see that turn around. We've had, following that, a couple of very mild winters. Fawn production is high, comparatively high. They're not seeing, in a lot of cases, at least the folks that I'm talking to, they're not seeing the great big bucks. But, those are animals that you would expect to lose during a very tough winter. I mean, you and I have read that in outdoor life since we were 10 years old, that those are animals that have a tough time making it through winter when it's tough. So, some of them are saying they're not seeing the really big bucks, but, some are seeing them. But the nice thing is that they are seeing a good number of yearling bucks. So those were, deer that would have been born as fawns last year. That recruitment is taking place just like, that's what we said would happen. That's easy predictions. I mean, that's easy deer biology. Those are easy things to predict. So they're starting to see a turnaround. Good to see up there. We certainly hope that they see a good number of deer in the north this year. We still got some buck-only units as the county deer advisory councils are continuing to try to increase deer numbers across several counties in the north. But on the other hand, we're seeing fewer of those. So those councils are also recognizing that their deer numbers are increasing to the point where they can put some doe tags out there and have some opportunity for people to take some venison home as well. So it's all good to see. On a statewide basis, we had a very wet year. Wet summer, which is always good for antler development. And I was just talking to my own taxidermist the other day, and she said we are seeing some just crazy big bucks coming in like they have not seen in quite a few years. So the trophy potential, I think, is out there as well. Lots of guys sending trail camera pictures and their own success stories in, so it's good to see. I'm pretty optimistic. The weather certainly looks like it's getting better for the gun season opener.
Yeah.
A few days ago, it looked like it was going to be rain, and I thought, oh boy, this is going to be awful. But it looks like it's getting better. It's going to be cool in the north. There's some chance of snow going on, and it looks like the rain chances are diminishing by the day. So I really hope that we have some nice weather. The wind is going to be tough on opening day. It's supposed to blow like crazy. But Sunday looks a lot better, and then as you get into the week, it looks even better yet. So hopefully guys and gals are going to be able to get out there and enjoy it. And if it doesn't happen on Saturday, geez, just be patient because I think it's going to get better as the week goes on.
Agreed. Let's talk. So you mentioned that the numbers are up compared to last year. Let's talk a little bit about last year. How many licenses, bow and gun, deer hunting licenses were sold last year?
Okay, so we sold about 613, just over 613,000 gun licenses last year. We had people from every state in the country, including 21 foreign countries, represented in our deer license sales last year during the gun season. And then during the archery season, we sold over 220,000. So lots of folks, I mean, they really love the seasons that we provide. Oh, you know what I should add to that? So we had 227,000 plus during the archery season. Add on to that, we had another 130 plus thousand that had the privilege of hunting with a crossbow. So some of those were flat-out crossbow purchases. Others were upgrades. So, when you buy an archery license, for $3 more, you can buy an upgrade that allows you to hunt with a crossbow as well, and vice versa. So there's a little bit of overlap in there, but, crossbow hunting is getting more popular, but there's still an awful lot of bow hunters out there on the landscape. We're within probably 20 to 30,000 of our all-time record sales in archery. So lots of people out there enjoying it. A lot of women getting out there and doing it.
Yeah.
the women segment of the population, that's one of the biggest, fastest growing demographics in hunting that we have. I want to say last year, it was something like 17 or 18% of all the new licenses sold were to women.
That's awesome.
So they're getting out there in the field. Yeah, it's great to see.
So 613,000 licenses sold, you said? Is that correct? Wait. 613,000 just for gun?
Yes. Yeah, for the most part, since, probably the mid-'70s, we've had over 600,000 hunters in the field during the gun season. So, yeah, we're a big state.
Wow. And then another 250,000 sold for bow. That's crazy. How many deer were taken?
Yeah, just over 309,000.
For all the hunts.
So, that's where we would like to be.
Okay.
I mean, that's what our seasons are really designed to provide for hunters. So, folks get upset when they don't get a deer, but, everybody's not meant to get a deer. We can't provide a deer for everybody. If we're shooting somewhere in the neighborhood of 300, probably 300 to 350,000, that's really what we anticipate taking. So, we had those years where we shot over 600,000 deer in Wisconsin. Those were anomalies. That's not where we even want to be. That means there's a lot of deer on the landscape, and most people anymore, those were also the earn-a-buck years where you were forced to shoot an antlerless deer first. We don't, necessarily want to go back to that on a statewide basis like we used to have. That's an awful lot of deer, and, there are other problems that go with that. So if we can provide 350,000 deer on an annual basis, that's really where we want to be.
So what reaction have you seen regarding the blaze?
To be perfectly honest with you, none.
See, that's everybody keeps. I'm like, it's really a non-issue because I just don't care.
I was talking to one of the wardens, and he said from their standpoint, they're not seeing a lot of people in the field during the youth hunts or the disabled hunts or anything that were wearing it. I got one phone call when it first occurred, and it was from a woman. And she was very upset by it. She thought it was a very, demeaning, insulting, chauvinistic, call it whatever you want. She was not happy about it at all. She thought, what a ridiculous thing that you think that this is going to get women out in the field. And I didn't have a whole lot to say about it at that time, but, since then, I, honest to God, I have heard nothing about it. So.
That's hilarious because I really haven't either too much. I just think it's the base premise was silly. I think that money could have been allocated for better, like becoming an outdoor woman's type programs rather than because I'm not good. Blaze orange is expensive and you wear it for 3 days out of the year. I'm not going to go and replace all my jumpsuits with a bunch of blaze pink now, that my blaze orange down there lasts me another 30 years.
There's no question about that. So I said, the wardens aren't seeing people out making complete wardrobe changes by any means. But then on the other hand, you can't blame the folks that were behind it. This was not a DNR proposal. I don't know that a lot of people know that.
Yeah, I know.
This is something that came out of other channels out there. But, their intentions were good. They really are looking at ways of increasing hunting participation, getting more people involved. It's good for the long-term future of wildlife conservation and management in Wisconsin. So I can't knock them. Their hearts were in the right place. And, it's at this point, it's not hurting anybody. So we'll see how it pans out. And who knows, over time, maybe the popularity will grow. I don't know.
That's true. That is very true. So I have a couple of questions, because it is a little confusing. So if I buy a tag to hunt Fond du Lac County private, and I'm not seeing any, so I step over onto public land, and I see a deer, I technically can't shoot a deer and tag it, correct?
It depends on what that deer is. So you've got a buck tag that's good statewide. Okay, so it doesn't matter what county you're hunting in. It doesn't matter if you're on public land or private land. You've got a buck tag that comes with every deer hunting license. And if you see a buck, no matter where you are, you can shoot that buck. Now, when it comes to the antlerless side of hunting, There had been some rule changes a couple of years ago where you have to designate whether you're going to fill that antlerless tag on public land or private land. And the intentions behind that were that the idea was that by being able to more closely regulate the antlerless harvest on public lands, there might be an opportunity there to increase the overall hunting experience by increasing deer numbers on those public lands. We do all kinds of surveys, and it's been this way for years and years, that the number one thing, say, that makes for a really quality hunt for them is they just want to see deer. So this was kind of the basis of that rule change, was if we can regulate a little tighter the harvest on public properties, perhaps that would increase the overall experience of the hunt for people. So that's the backbone behind the whole thing. But so if you're hunting on public property and you want to shoot an antlerless deer, you do need to have the proper tag that allows you to shoot a deer in the county that you're in at the time, or the deer management unit, and then the public land or the private land where you're hunting.
Okay. Fair enough. Easy
now,
enough.
Here's the other part of the whole thing, is that if you're in either one of the farmland zone units, so we've got 4 deer management zones in the state. We've got 2 forest zones and 2 farmland zones. With your farmland zone, when you buy a deer hunting license and you tell them that you're hunting in a farmland zone, you are going to get at least 1 and up to 3 antlerless deer tags included with that thing. So if you are hunting in one of the counties that allows you to have 2 or more, you could take 1 for public land and 1 for private land, or 1 for public land and 2 for private land, or whatever combination you want to do. They have to be in the same unit, but you do have the option of getting free tags for both, so you'd be covered. In addition to that, some of these counties also have bonus tags that you can buy in addition to the ones that come with your deer hunting license. There are bonus tags out there, and those are used just the same as they always have been. $12 to buy a tag, but again, you do have to select public or private land.
All right. Good deal.
Lots of options.
Yeah. See,
you can't get mad that it's confusing. You have to say, man, that is opportunity out there to put venison in the freezer, right? It's opportunity. People used to complain about 6 feet long, when they buy their patron license. They got 6 feet of green paper that was a sturgeon tag and a goose tag and everything. And some guys would complain about that. I'd say, that's 6 feet of opportunity. What's the matter with you? So look on the bright side. We live in a great state with a lot of things to hunt, and we're pretty blessed when it comes to that. So you're laughing because you know it's true. From one sturgeon spirit to the other,
that's funny.
You know it's true.
I do totally know it's true. Oh my God, seriously. It is. And I buy so many antlerless doe tags that I really don't have a lot of intention of using, but just in case I am in that county. I'm gonna go. Well,
I hunt in quite a few other states. I was just out in Wyoming and South Dakota, and you could buy an extra antlerless tag for $30. With the amount of money that I sink into going on those trips, another $30. I bought a tag that was actually, I hate to admit this, but I bought a tag in the wrong unit. And it was like, well, okay, whatever. It's $30, and for the amount of money I'll spend on gas and everything else getting out there, it's really not that big of a deal. But, that's not to say everybody should just throw caution to the wind and throw their money up in the air and let the DNR have it. That's not my point. But my point really is, for $12, that's an opportunity to put a lot of extra meat in the freezer. For the amount of money that we really spend on everything that we do in hunting. And I don't think a lot of people really understand what that money is used for. In the chronic wasting disease management units, $5 of that money from a $12 bonus tag goes towards having the opportunity to continue to offer hunters free testing of their deer if they'd like to get it tested for chronic wasting disease. And that's very important to a lot of people. The other thing is especially in really high deer number units, a lot of that money goes towards paying for some of the problems that having high deer numbers costs. So that they cause. So, part of that money also goes to things like the agricultural damage program, and some of the farmers out there that are, quite frankly, in some cases, suffering from having high deer numbers on their property.
Yeah.
So there are some benefits to doing it, and I would really hope that when hunters go out to buy that tag, they kind of consider the pros and the cons of it. To me, it's a really good deal.
Oh, definitely.
And there are people that they just don't think that we should be giving tags away at all. That kind of lessens the value of a deer, and we should be selling all those tags. I just saw a proposal the other day that we should be selling tags for a lot more money. So for now, they are what they are. They're $12 a piece, and for the amount of venison and joy that $12 provides, to me that's a good deal. I'm sure there are plenty of people don't agree with that, but to me it's a good deal.
It is to me too, and especially I live in the northwestern part of Washington County, and I hunt the kettles, so you've got Fond du Lac in Washington County there, and then sometimes I might get a wild hair at my nose and go to Mud Lake or out to Columbus, and that's Dodge County. So it's better to me to have paid for 3 different doe tags in 3 different counties than decide I'm in the Kettle Marine Forest and I'm like, I'm not seeing anything, let's head out to Dodge County. Oh, but now I got to go to Walmart and get another tag, because what if I see it? Yeah. It's just easier to just be done with it.
Yep. So. And hey, guess what? You don't have to go to Walmart anymore. You can sit in front of on your computer and you can buy a tag.
Isn't that the best?
Convenience.
I love the Go Wild. I love it. What would be the number one piece of advice you'd give a new hunter heading out for the first time this weekend for the gun opener?
Oh, boy. The first thing I would recommend to a new hunter, first of all, go with somebody that knows what they're doing. Find yourself a good mentor, and learn from the best. Learn from people that know what they're doing out there, that can show you the ropes. And the other thing that I would probably say is don't believe everything that you see on television. I get very frustrated, and as a matter of fact, I get to the point where I can't stand watching some of the TV shows that are put together by supposed hunters. It is not reality television. A lot of it is fantasy television, as far as I'm concerned. They put expectations into people's heads of what they should see out there, and, let's face it, the average person does not have 5,000 acres to hunt, and they can't pass up 5.5-year-old bucks hoping that he makes it to 6, right? And the other thing, too, is, you see some of these television programs that they're not setting a good example for a new hunter. They're talking about taking 60-yard shots and 70-yard shots with a bow and arrow, even with a crossbow. Those are just not the kind of shots that the average person can make, but they make it seem like anybody can do it. And you know what? Anybody can't do it. I've shot very few deer in my life over about 15 yards with a bow. I just think that 20 yards looks a long way in the woods. And I love there's a certain line in a Clint Eastwood movie is a man's got to know his limitations. Well, when it comes to hunting, every man, every woman needs to know their own limitations. And if your limitations with a bow are 10 yards, then don't shoot past 10 yards. You please yourself when you're out there in the woods. And anybody that hunts for any extended period of time knows that when you lose an animal, it's about the worst feeling in the world for quite some time. And it's happened to all of us. So, know what your own limitations are. Don't take the advice of everything you see on TV. And that's not to say that all the television programs are garbage. There are some good ones out there. But, watch them with caution and know what your own limitations are when it comes to shooting a rifle, shooting a bow. Closer, in most cases, is always going to be better. Don't be afraid of failure. You're out there to hunt for yourself. You're not out there to impress anybody else. Hunting is a very personal pastime for all of us, and do it for yourself and do what makes you feel good about it, and success is going to make you feel very good about it. So just, keep your limitations in mind. Don't step outside of them. Be true to yourself when it comes to that kind of stuff.
That is great advice.
you're going to feel awful if you lose it, and you'd rather that he went through and maybe he does have a chance to get through to the following year and maybe be even bigger. So even with a doe, I mean, it just is horrible to lose an animal no matter what. If you're a true hunter, you feel bad about it every single time.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh. Hey, I'm looking at the weather forecast right now, and it's going to be 60 on Friday, but it's going to be 39 on Saturday. It's going to be blowing like 20 plus, so that's going to stink. But Sunday is looking really good, into the 30s, maybe a few snow showers, and much reduced wind, so it's going to be good.
I think that the drop in temperature might be really good. Sometimes that'll just get them up and moving a little bit more.
Well, and I'm hearing from guys, too, that they're still rutting pretty good.
Yeah.
I went out this weekend, both Saturday and Sunday, and I did not see a lot of rutting activity myself. But I did hear from several other people that they said that bucks were just mental, where they were completely oblivious to anything else going on around them except that doe that was in front of them. I had a great series of a buddy of mine sent me some trail camera pictures from his own hunting experience this weekend. He got out of his tree stand at 8:50 on Saturday morning, and at 9:37, this great big 155, 160-inch buck that he's been trying to kill all fall went right through the same trail camera. So if he had stayed in his stand another 45 minutes, he would have had a chance.
Wow, that's crazy. Oy, oy, oy. Well, good luck to you this weekend, and good luck to everybody in Wisconsin. I hope we see lots of awesome photos online.
Yeah. Good luck to everybody. Just, remember first thing about going deer hunting is be safe. Whether that's with your gun, climbing into your tree stand, driving your ATV to go pick up a deer, don't have a heart attack dragging your deer out. All those things you got to take into consideration. So hope everybody has a good season and lots of success, and I hope you do too. Send me a picture if you get one. Yeah.
Thanks. I will. All right. Well, cool, Kevin. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to come on the show. As always, I'm sure we will have you on many, many times.
My pleasure. Anytime.
And that'll do it. Thanks so much for listening. Don't forget to find the show on iTunes. Just search for HuntFishTravel Podcast. Hit the subscribe button. You can also follow me on social media. Just go to huntfishtravel.net and click on the social media icon of your choice. The only one that's not listed there is Periscope. You can always find me on Periscope. Same Twitter handle, @CarrieZilka. Until next time.